Hey, hi. It's me. Unless you're a musical fanatic, or enjoy theater, or even an avid movie enthusiast, you've probably never heard of a film called Cabaret. Or maybe you have, and I'm just sheltered, I don't know, but anyways, the film Cabaret, released in 1972, is a loaded gun of open-mindedness fueled with sexuality, fun stage antics, and a plot that is just wild. If you've never heard about this film, let me break it down. The film follows Brian Roberts, played by Michael York, who's an Englishman studying his doctorates in a pre-World War II Berlin. He becomes acquainted with a young American woman named Sally Bowles, played by Liza Minnelli, who works at a cabaret called the Kit Kat Club. Now, Sally is a wild child. Her whole deal is that she wants to be a movie star, so long as her bad habits don't catch up to her first. When Sally first meets Brian, she oozes sexual tension, so you already know she's not about to let this beefcake just walk away before she can get her hands on him. But when she finally starts to make her moves, Brian stops her dead in her tracks, and she straight up asks him,
Do you sleep with girls or don't you?
Sally, you don't ask questions like that.
I do.
The two of them talk it out and come to find out Brian actually is confused about his sexuality, so Sally backs off. But while consoling Sally after being denied a part in a film, Brian gives in, and the two begin a sexual relationship. Now the audience is just as confused as Brian, but tensions are just around the corner when Sally runs into a gorgeous German millionaire named Maximilian von Huhn, who begins to spoil Sally. Now, if a German millionaire starts spoiling the only woman you're screwing, obviously you wouldn't be happy about that, so Brian gives Max the cold shoulder there at the beginning, but I mean, he's a gorgeous millionaire. And the film already established Brian is questioning his sexuality, so what do you think happens when Max starts to spoil Brian and invites the two of them to live on his private estate in the country?
He's suave, and he's divinely sexy. And he really appreciates a woman.
Screw Maximilian!
I do.
So do I.
Bananas. Eventually, Max gets upset with both Brian and Sally, so he sends them back to Berlin, where they find out Sally is in a bit of a pickle.
God damn it, I'm gonna have a baby!
She doesn't even know who it belongs to. Brian, trying to be the nice guy, offers to marry Sally, take her back to England so she can raise the child, and Sally will live out her days a professor's wife. Some woman would kill for that, but Sally knows she's not ready to be a mother. Brian even gives her the cold shoulder for some reason, and Sally feels disconnected from him. So she decides not to go through with the pregnancy, deciding to stay in Berlin and send Brian back home to England. While this is going on, we have the rise of the Nazi Party, showing the harassment of Jewish folks, murder in the streets, and fights over political parties. It's like the Wild West out here. Each character has an interesting story to tell. Sally's a carefree woman with a do-it-yourself attitude. She enjoys only two things, sex and attention. Maybe even booze for extra credit.
That is if booze and sex don't get me first.
When she wants something, she gets it by any means, whether it's through her femininity and beauty or her sweet talk and charm. I mean, look at what she did to Brian. I mean, not to mention she got a rich man to spoil her and her boyfriend. That is not a simple task, believe me. I've tried. But that's the beauty of Sally's character. Everyone wants to be that type of person. Not a care in the world, living freely. Sally was the original live fast, die young kind of chick.
Does it really matter as long as you're having fun?
Brian, on the other hand, tells the story of a man questioning his sexuality in a not-so-accepting world. I mean, this movie takes place in 1930s Berlin, the rise of the Nazi Party. Nazis weren't known to be nice dudes. But that's what makes Brian's story so exciting, coming to accept who you are in the face of danger. And that's why he was so hesitant to tell Sally in the beginning. He even gets to explore his sexuality in the end with Max. Now, most people say that Brian was bisexual. I felt as though he was gay and only gave in to Sally because, one, he probably wanted attention, and 2, to show her affection and comfort in a time of need. He made a few interesting statements that led me to believe this. He never said, "Your body drives me wild with desire." No, he would say, "Doesn't my body drive you wild with desire?" I mean, he was a beefcake. I'm sure he was aware of that. I think he enjoyed the attention she gave him, and the only reason he became jealous when Max would spoil Sally wasn't because he was boinking Sally, but because he wasn't getting spoiled by Max. But immediately after he starts to get spoiled, he chills out. But that's a theory for another day. Max's motives in the movie are... I mean, I don't really know. He has a lot of money, and he spends it like there's no tomorrow, buying everybody shit. But I mean, he supports the Nazi party because they were going to be easier to control than the communists. So they thought that was a mistake. A perfect example of this not being the case is when Brian is seen using a gift Max had given him. The two smile and you can see sexual tension. But I'm getting ahead of myself. When Brian and Max eye each other, a young boy, a young Aryan boy, blonde and blue-eyed, sings a song called "Tomorrow Belongs to Me." It basically describes the beauty of the German countryside. It's quite a beautiful song, sung full of heart and patriotism, but it's the imagery that makes you go, "Hey, wait a minute." The camera pans down, showing the boy as a Nazi. But at this point, everyone else begins to join the boy in song. And the faces of the few people who don't sing just say, "Oh my god, we're fucked." Now, there's one more person I have yet to talk about, and that's my favorite character of this entire movie. It's the MC of the Kit Kat Club. Did I mention this movie was a musical? Because it is. And the MC basically runs the whole show, singing and dancing, using the songs to basically justify what happened in the story. When Sally talks about working in the Kit Kat Club,
Well, I dash all day and I work late at the Cabaret.
we see her working in the Kit Kat Club. When she first sleeps with Brian, she sings about hopefully him being the one true love, and maybe this time he won't leave like the other men in her life. When we meet the rich Max, Sally and the MC sing about money, where basically, if you have money, good for you. But if you don't, you're pretty much shit out of luck. It's beautifully paced, and I enjoy the format of just placing a performance at the Kit Kat Club singing about the situation, rather than trying to work in a song and dance routine surrounding the situation and using the lyrics to spit exposition. Not like that's a bad thing. That's the charm of most musicals. For example, the opening song in the Heathers musical beautifully explains the setting and the characters we're about to learn about. But cabaret songs stand alone, sharing its message and having standalone musical pieces, and I think that's pretty cool. Like, take me away from the scene to sing for me, and it's through all these songs the audience can understand the true meaning of the film. The film challenges norms. These ideas are front and center for the majority of the film. It shares the idea of a polyamorous relationship. It shows women it's okay to embrace their sexuality. Sally enjoys a night of booze and sex. There's definitely nothing wrong with that. But, I mean, don't drink too excessively. I mean, that's not a good idea. I wouldn't recommend it. But, I mean, if you want to do it, do it. But not excessively, please. Don't. I'm not responsible for any of your actions. This film was released at the height of the sexual revolution, and it portrays that with much love. It shows people it's okay to question their sexuality and to enjoy a relationship with whomever you want. That being said, this film isn't for everyone. Like, I wouldn't watch this with my grandmother. She'd kick my ass. But I mean, if you have some open-minded friends who enjoy a good story, crazy antics, fun music, and want to look back on a crazy period in time, I would recommend it.